I was a little curious why Paulie Malignaggi was so enthusiastic about the Chris Eubank Jr. fight with Conor Benn and why he was saying, oh, I really want to see a rematch. But then I noticed he also was very critical of Conor Benn's boxing skills. And as I said in my pre-fight breakdown, I felt that Conor Benn actually had a better, more comprehensive skill set than Chris Eubank Jr., at least in terms of his defensive skills. But then I figured out why Paulie is all for Team Eubank Jr. And that's because Paulie, I believe, is in business with Ben Shalom, who is part of Team Eubank Jr. Ben Shalom is affiliated or is the CEO of Boxer with the double X, and Paulie is involved with them somehow. Has a business relationship with them. So that explains why he's so enthusiastic. Like, let's have this rematch. Let's make more money. And why he is so pro Chris Eubank Jr. in terms of his analysis of both fighters' skill set. Now, that said, I don't blame Paulie one bit for being biased. In fact, as Michael Corleone said in The Godfather, it's the smart move for Paulie to make. Why do I say that? Because he's been generating content for years regarding boxing. And I think he realized back when the tables got flipped on him during COVID, I think the light came on. Paulie was generating content for all these other content creators who would interview Paulie because they knew he was at that point sort of much watch video because there were no fights going on. So all we had was maybe videos just talking about boxing, but we didn't have any actual fights to watch. And Paulie's always a captivating interview because he can be very dramatic and very outspoken and sometimes controversial. But during that time, remember, I felt Paulie got treated incredibly unfairly by the internet and by Showtime because what happened was they clipped a little piece of an interview where Paulie was talking actually about Devin Haney tweeting about Vasily Lomachenko, and Paulie used some phrases or some words that other people accused him, made accusations against him, and then those clips just kept spiraling out of control. Showtime asked him to make a formal apology. He refused and left Showtime. But I think Paulie realized, like, wait a second, why should I generate all these views for other people? They're just using me to increase their clout and their income. So Paulie started making his own content. Props to him for that. I think he also realized, why should I devote my time and energy to sharing my analysis of other people's fighters when I have no stake in the matter of, whether this fighter does well or does poorly? And again, the light went off in his head, and he's now part of several boxing promotions. I believe Boxer with a double X with Ben Shalom, and also he's definitely involved with pro boxing that airs solely on YouTube. In a sense, Pro Boxer serves as kind of a minor league for PBC and Golden Boy. And whenever those bigger promotions can't fit some of their lower ranked fighters on one of their big cards, because there's only so many slots available on a big card that's going to be televised or that's going to have a pay-per-view portion, they can farm out their fighters to promoters such as Pro Boxer. So again, now Paulie has a vested interest in maintaining good relationships with these other promoters. That means he's going to sing the praises of certain fighters should they appear on a boxing promotion that Paulie's affiliated with. And again, I don't blame him one bit because the internet, screwed him over. And why shouldn't Paulie reap the benefit of his boxing analysis, of his sort of personality, of his ability to speak about boxing? I think he's doing the right thing all the way. But that made it clear to me why Paulie's singing the praises of Chris Eubank Jr. That's because he has a vested interest in terms of dollars and cents. Bottom line, Paulie's wrong about the rematch. He's wrong about Chris Eubank being a better boxer than Conor Benn, but he's not incorrect in saying all of that.